Welcome to the Mexpreneurs Podcast, the podcast about the stories of Mexican tech startup founders who are building world-class, fast-growing companies and having a positive impact at a large scale. My name is Sergio Chavez. I'm a Mexican based in Germany, a tech startup founder, executive, and mentor, and your host. Today we welcome back Walter Mata together with his co-founders, Sergio Posadas, Daniel Cano, and Ricardo Terrazas. They are the founders of Wasco, a science-based ConTech startup based in Monterrey, Mexico. Wasco develops sustainable and advanced materials derived from the waste and byproducts generated by the construction, mining, and plastic industries. They currently have two main products, a clinker substitute for cement and concrete production under the brand Urtec Materials, as well as auxiliary materials used in construction under the brand Polycrete. These products are environmental friendly, have higher performance, and are more affordable than their conventional counterparts. Wasco established partnerships with leading cement and mining corporations across the Americas and Europe. This led them to establish a company in Canada to scale their technology and serve customers in North America. Similarly, they're about to open another legal entity in Peru to address the Latin American market. Walter is CEO, Sergio is Chief Operating Officer, Daniel is Chief Technology Officer and co-CEO of the business unit Urtec Materials, and Ricardo is co-CEO of the business unit Polycrete. They are all originally from Mexico and are currently based across different locations between Mexico and the USA. While Walter originally founded Wasco, Sergio, Daniel, and Ricardo joined later as co-founders, bringing new energy and critical expertise and connections to the company. Walter is responsible for the overall company vision, leadership, strategy, go-to-market, and fundraising. You can learn more about Walter and his professional journey through the previous podcast episode. Sergio is responsible for transforming the company vision and strategy into a reality, working across teams and functions to make things happen. Daniel overlooks all product and technology development aspects in the company, plus the end-to-end leadership of the Urtec Materials business unit. Finally, Ricardo leads the Polycrete business unit. Similarly to Daniel, Ricardo leads the business unit end-to-end. I hope you enjoy. Support for this episode comes from Skyflare, a cybersecurity company with a mission to make e-commerce safe for online shops and which currently protects dozens of Shopify-based businesses through its 360 degrees holistic protection. As an online shop owner, you know that every cent you spend in online advertisement counts, especially in Google AdWords. Therefore, keeping a tight control of your budget and the ROI are essential. Nevertheless, there are bad actors out there who can make those costs explode. Skyflare's Click Fraud Protection Solution helps you prevent and resolve those threats. At Mexpreneurs, we had the privilege to have Skyflare's founders in the podcast, including Juan Ocampo, a Mexican tech startup founder, and Skyflare's Chief Operations Officer. Visit skyflare.com/mexpreneurs to learn more and also to get a 10% discount during your first 3 months of your annual subscription. Skyflare is at the moment available in Europe, Mexico, and Canada through the Shopify App Store. Hello, Walter, Sergio, Daniel, Ricardo. Welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Thank you very much, guys, for being here. Walter, I would greatly appreciate if you can tell us, what is Wasco?
It's a science-based startup focusing on develop sustainable building materials based on the transformation of industrial waste like plastic waste, construction waste, mining waste. And actually, Wasco is divided into business units. And these two business units is, the first one is Polycrete. Polycrete is focused to transform the plastic waste to different types of building materials, non-structural materials and structural materials. And here, Ricardo is actually the CEO of Polycrete. And the second one is Urtec Materials. Urtec Materials is focused to transform mining waste material with our technology base of electrochemical to transform this material and create science to substitute a clinker or new cement with more environmental impact, more benefits to this type of impact and other things. And here Daniel is our CTO and co-CEO actually in this case. And Sergio Posadas, present to you my COO in Wasco in general. He support me in all these type of things with these both business units.
You shared with us, Walter, in our previous conversation about the origins of Wasco and in terms of the challenges that you saw in Monterrey with the construction industry, with the mining industry. But could you tell us a little bit more about the challenge that you guys are tackling? Because, of course, sustainable building materials sounds like a big problem out there. Actually, not only a problem in Monterrey, not only a problem in Mexico, but actually a problem worldwide. So could you walk us about, like, why is this so relevant? Like, what are some of the challenges that you've seen and why the work that you guys are doing is so relevant?
That's why we started in Monterrey, because Monterrey is our city. Well, about the team, but is this type of problem that we saw in Monterrey, the environmental problems about the pollution in our city. So in the 2019, we were in the top 10 of the most polluted city in the world. This is the principal problem that we saw. And when I investigated about which factor of this type of pollution we had, I investigated that the construction industry is one of the most polluted industry in Mexico, specifically in Monterrey, but specifically about the cement industry. This industry have a principal product that we know, the cement and concrete. The concrete is the second material most used around the world. We have a big volume of production of this material around the world. We understand that this type of material is one of the most valued products around the world. So it's not just the case of environmental impact, it's about social impact, because in our city, 4 people dies per day about this type of pollution affects different type of health in the persons, in the people. That's why this is our mission in the company, to reduce this type of pollution and contamination that we have in our city, but principal to be a better world or better city to all the people. So that's why we want to substitute the cement and concrete product in the market, created more environmental or green cement with this type of technology focused to transform this type of material like mining waste, plastic waste, etc., etc.
And you were mentioning that Monterrey was the top 10 most polluted city. So I would assume that this is a problem for all of those cities in that top 10 and also for the next top 20, top 30 cities coming right after it. So any major city where construction is happening at a scale as it is with Monterrey, this is for sure a problem that they're also facing.
Yes, it's just one case around the world. So we understand that this type of problem we saw in different countries around the world, and specifically about this mining waste material from the mining industry is not just in case in Mexico, it's about around the world. So we saw these 2 problems with this mining waste material and this CO2 pollution and other type of pollution materials to this cement industry. So we are tackling these 2 problems in the industry now.
And also from what I remember from our previous conversation, in terms of your guys' vision for the future and the world that you're building, so you're not necessarily substituting the current construction materials or substituting the mining industry fully, but actually working together with them. No? So my understanding is that all of the waste that is being produced, that's what you're capturing, that's what you're repurposing. Could you walk us a little bit more into like how exactly does that vision looks like?
Yeah, that's why we have different angel investors from family owners of cement companies. Like I don't want to say different names, but in the board we have angel investors from this type of cement industry, because they understand and we understand that we are complementary to their process and operation, because we understand that if we want to build a cement company with the new cement company, the timeline that we will need to put this product in the market is like 20 years, I think. We understand that, and we know and we saw that the most or the biggest opportunity to us to have this business model is be a supplier of this cement industry, because that's why we create this substitute clinker to supply this material and substitute the conventional clinker, that the clinker is the most polluted and expensive cost in the operation process of the cement industry.
And how does the landscape of sustainable construction materials looks like today? Because I imagine you're probably not the only player in the market. There's probably other companies trying to tackle this big problem. But what is that also secret sauce that you guys have? And Ricardo, if I'm not mistaken, you wanted to commend something along those lines.
Thank you, Sergio. But I think if we're going to talk about the secret sauce, I think Daniel is the right player to answer that question. So, Daniel, go ahead.
I think the secret sauce is that we have a really specific opportunity to start using material, like a waste material, into something valuable. And the secret here is, how can you start using something that is not useful for one industry to another one? The main goal here is, how can we solve one industry's problem and make it the same solution for another industry, right? So it's like putting together these two like pieces of the puzzle that it only makes sense once you can achieve the requirements of the specifications of the material to be starting to substitute this clinker or raw material that is used for the construction industry. And the secret sauce, we could be talking about how can we do it using electrochemistry and also nanotechnology in order to make this happen, because that's where the magic happens. But people want to see what are you using this for, right? The whole thing that we're doing now is just basically transforming something that is trash into something valuable. And I think Ricardo wants to say something.
I mean, just to complement here, Danielle, the secret sauce is basically building something out of waste. As Walter mentioned in the beginning, we generally work with the plastic waste industries, with mining waste, and generally any kind of industrial waste. So the secret sauce is taking away the problem of one industry and transforming it into the solution of another industry. In this case, that industry we chose was the construction industry.
I believe it's a potential opportunity because it's not only with this, as Ricardo said, it is the same thesis. It's just like, how can we make valuable something that's not valuable now and to something that is valuable to someone else? And I think there's so many opportunities, not only on this market, in the construction side, not only with plastics or mining waste, but there might be other potential applications for this same thought.
And actually, what I wanted to ask you is, so these waste that is being produced, what's currently being done with it? Is it just being accumulated somewhere? Is it typically just being stored? Is it being burned? Like, what is happening and why is it such an important opportunity?
Basically, the waste is just getting stored. It's just getting accumulated, and it's making huge mountains and hills of this mining waste. Is pretty much just mud that is just standing there. And that can become a potential climate risk for the earth, for the ground, for the soil, because it has so many substances that could be affecting the ecosystems, and also that could potentially get air particles that are even contaminating more the air quality. They need to keep this mods wet, basically. It is like clay, if you like to say it. It's like arcilla. And it's just getting accumulated, and then there's like piles and piles of this mod. And it needs to get a little bit humid. So it requires like water usage. And only for not having more severe air condition. So that's like kind of like an environmental liability, you may say. And it is about that. How can we solve this situation where it's just only like stacking up and more, and then do something about it and not just have the accumulation of it.
And you were mentioning about you're taking the waste from someone, transforming it, and building it into a solution of someone else. Like, how exactly are you visualizing, or how is your products being used currently? Like, is it a combination between, let's say, traditional building products and then your own products being used at different construction sites? Or like, is it just the materials that you guys are building, are they used for an entire different types of constructions or use cases? So how exactly does that combination works between the products that you guys are building and those traditional products that are being used currently?
At least right now, we are working as a raw material provider, right? Like, we are in the back office of the processes, because you're not going to see our powder or like the final product that we're selling into the shelves, right? Like, we collaborate or we work with concrete industries while they are mixing up this substitute of clinker, which gives the concrete molecular stability and then just like some volume, pretty much just like a solid block that it's being created with different powders. Like we are only treating one of these different compositions of the clinker because it's composed by different substances. So it looks like basically a powder, right? Like it is just like dust that is being treated and that can be incorporated into these blocks. And then these blocks can be used for construction. So you're going to see the same thing. But the back office of that is preventing a lot of carbon emissions that are coming from the traditional way of extracting limestone, for example, and then substitute that with something that's not used, but that has been treated in order to be functional and also compatible with this clinker, well, with this substitute for the clinker, and then just be a final construction material, as you and me would see, like concrete. That's how it looks like, and how's like a simple way to explain how it's being used for concrete companies.
And now, could you guys walk us also through the traction that you've seen? So you've already been in this journey for quite some time. What are some of the best examples in terms of companies that are using your products? How are they integrating? Where they're present as well? Is it just Mexico? Is it also beyond Mexico? What are some of these experiences that you've collected for the past months?
What we've been working with, for Daniel's explaining the part of Earthtech, as we call the side of the business, which is focused on the concrete industry. Polycrete, it's focused on auxiliary materials for the general construction. In the previous question you were mentioning of where could you see the materials, this is just a plain substitute for general wood or auxiliary materials made out of recycled plastic waste. And as you're currently mentioning, where do we generally operate as of now in the traction? The thing here is that the construction industry as a whole, the cement industry, they're really old industries. So they're really conservative. So they're really hesitant on bringing new products and new technologies because their thinking is basically, well, I've worked with the same materials through decades and throughout time. What makes your material better to switch it up? Because that other material has already proven that they can last 100 years, 200 years. What makes your material worth the price and the new technology for me to change into this new aspect? So the traction here is working with companies that have this sustainability vision of maybe preoccupating a bit of their impact into the society and into their environment, working together with them. So Earthtech is having traction in more developing countries such as Canada and Europe mainly, where they're starting to think more of the future rather than the past. Polycrete is starting to work with companies exactly that are to be a bit more mindful of their waste and their general processes of building anything that they're building, being a bit mindful of their impact on the environment. So that's where we're generating traction in more developing countries and with companies that are starting to focus their interest into progressing into the future and utilizing these new technologies and starting to implement them on their operating methods.
And it's incredible that you already have an international reach, despite the fact of being such a young company, that you're already working with companies across Canada, Europe. And how exactly did that happen?
Here I'm going to give the ball to Sergio. He just recently came back from Paris, where I think he's the better player to answer that question.
I just came back from Paris. This is the second time of the year that has happened. Something I never thought that would happen in a phrase. The thing is that our two divisions are gathering attention on a more global aspect. Europe is a continent, an area of the world that is some steps ahead from everyone else in the climate, tech, and transition phase. So we are currently working with Solar Impulse Foundation. They chose us and they got us to Paris, where I was at a big event called Change Now, where the main focus was this transition. Some big players were there. It was a pretty big thing for our company, but there is this thing that we need to focus because there are many big players and we are all there with the best intention, but everyone wants to save the world until it hits their pockets. Everyone wants to go and wear the Superman or Batman cape as you wish until the price is more expensive than what they are actually using as of today. So our job is to first get to that point for our product to be at the least or at the minimum at the same price as the traditional product out there. And all the benefits, the climate, circular economy principles that we apply, they will all still be there. But I think that I have this phrase that I actually use a lot, that it's not a matter to be just eco-friendly. We need to be wallet friendly as well. And the CFOs are one of the main decision makers in all the companies, and that phrase goes straight to them. And that's the work that we do. We try and to not let any excuse for the client not to choose Wasco instead of the traditional companies.
And I love the fact that, as you mentioned, it's not only about the sustainable aspect of it, but it also needs to be financially sound for the companies that are adopting these. We will be right back for a conversation with our guest. Support for this episode comes from Partnership Leaders, the leading community of partnership professionals and executives in SaaS and tech with over 1,500 members globally. We're living in the decade of the ecosystem, and every CEO needs to become a partnership leader. Just take a look at the top companies in the world today, like Microsoft, Google, and Apple. They have all become platform companies, and partnership executives in IT have been the ones leading these transformations. Partnership Leaders brings these executives together and is building a playbook to enable CEOs and business leaders across industries to transform their organizations into platform companies. If you're a tech startup founder, Partnership Leaders is the place for you to learn how to leverage partnerships to take your business to the next level. I'm a member of PL and co-host of the Germany chapter, and have seen firsthand the richness and value of this incredible community. Visit partnershipleaders.com to learn more and to apply to become a member. Make sure to mention in your application that Mexpreneurs referred you so you can receive a special price if your application is accepted. But now, I would love to briefly switch gears into the team, because I have the privilege to talk to the four of you. And I would love to know, what's the role of each of you? And also understand, what's that origin story behind the four of you? How the four of you came together in the first place?
Tim, if you want to explain your role and what type of activity you have in the company. So we start with Sergio, our COO in West Company, and then with Ricardo and Daniel.
Walter, as he said, and it's already explained, is the CEO. I'm the COO. So I'm in charge of blending whatever vision and dream happens around Walter's head. I would like it to be less abstract, but most of the time it's as abstract as I just said it. It's a pretty wholesome activity. We are in all of the meetings in both of our business units and more things that we are currently developing. But it's a good thing because he leads the way. He is the vision in person of the company, in a manner of speaking. And when we hit these challenges as clients, events, and things that happen in every startup, in every company in the world, it's a good thing to have a discussion of what is the best way to go. And this discussion, I always try to imagine it as you may think that this is the way that we're going, and you may be very focused on that until you hear an alternative. And then something happens in your head, and okay, you may be right, or you may be wrong as well. But that little bug, that little thing that happens is the spark that gets us to do the amazing things that have happened in the past and the present and will happen in the future. And as of the origin story, I wouldn't say it so unique, but it happened many years ago. I was in charge of an entrepreneurship event in San Pedro, in Nuevo León, and Walter was just starting the Wasco dream, in a manner of speaking. And we selected his project. He pitched. It was a good pitch, gathered a lot of attention. And we stayed in touch. We knew what we were both doing in our separate areas. But I always had an interest in recycling, the next transition, the energy transition, circular economy. And as the years started to go, before the pandemic, we started our project. And then pandemic hit, and we all know that era. We got closer in the matter of work. And some months, years ago, he asked me, hey, do you want to go and work with us at Wasco? And I was, hell yeah. It wasn't a difficult question. And I'm here. And what I would really like to make an emphasis in this is that you never know what interaction or what moment you're gonna meet someone that will alter your life and take it in a different road that you would never ever imagine. My parents always taught me to respect everyone in the building, to the CEO, to the person that is cleaning the restrooms and the lobbies. And I think that those little interactions, you better take them as seriously and as important as you can take them, because as of me, it changed my life in a very different trajectory. And I'm pretty thankful about that, because I consider this origin story to be a pretty lucky thing, because I am working on a thing that I love. And that doesn't happen quite a lot. So right now it would be to Ricardo.
I'm the CEO of the plastic unit called Polycrete. So I'm in charge of all of the development and all of the sales that go through, to Polycrete, and contacting clients, sending, just generally the whole operation. Right now with Polycrete, it's a 2-person team, and me and Alejandro, which he right now it's stated in Monterrey. And well, we also receive help from Sergio, Walter, Daniel, and the whole board when we're in need of. My origin story of how I came here into Wasco, I study sustainable development engineering. I'm still studying. I'm 22 years old. I'm the youngest of the whole team, but I'm the one that met Walter first. I've been working with Walter, alongside Walter, for the past 2.5, almost 3 years. When they mentioned Wasco, for me, it was a perfect match between my career and the company. And that's when we got married 3 years ago. But no, now I'll send the ball over to Daniel, which, well, he can explain everything he's in charge of.
I am Daniel Cano, and my position in Wasco, specifically in Earth Tech Materials, I am the CTO, and I also be managing and I'm managing part of the Earth Tech Materials line of business, which is basically now at the mining waste and transformation of this. Part of my my activities is developing, optimizing the process that is making possible to use this mining waste into some other industries. We're looking for improvements in order to scale up the operation. This is already working on lab and even like pre-pilot stage, I would say. And we also analyze the substances that we are working with. We use some spectrophotometry analysis, electronic microscope of barrido electrónico. So we basically analyze what we're working with. We extract the information about how much are the percentages that are composing each substance. And now we started working with Walter because we met several years ago in a contest that we were applying. And then we basically match on the same goals that we want to achieve in the world, which was basically impacting in a positive way, reducing carbon emissions. And even though like I was like in another project, like it's always like, you know, stay in touch with Walter, and we started to do some businesses together and not related with this specifically. But then one day he just like asked me, hey, can you do this? Can you modify this mod and then just like take it out all the chlorine from it? And I was like, sure, let me just like, I'm not like, I have an idea, just like send me a sample. And that pretty much was the way that we started to collaborate with. From there, it's just like part of like the stories.
And what I would love to ask you as well is, so beyond the four of you, who's also in the team? And also, why do you guys believe that you have the right mix to make these ventures successful?
I believe Walter has this incredible ability to not only get together the right talent, but also like convince to work for a dream together. And I think it's like the same values that we have and the bigger vision of living a better world for the next generations.
I think that to add to what Daniel already said, it's a matter of this ability and this force that goes around Walter, where he gathers us and he has a pretty good eye on getting to know the abilities needed at Wasco, that he finds those abilities in some person. And to be able to get them on board on the train on this pretty difficult road that we all had here. But we have a multidisciplinary team, as this was previously mentioned on the interview. Daniel has an extensive background. Walter has the prices that accompany that. Ricardo is gathering and transforming this plastic and getting to new places. And there are more of us in the team that aren't in this interview, but that are very important. And I think that the culture is the thing that Walter has implemented in Wasco. And I think that is a pretty important part where we all feel comfortable, where we all feel that we are actually making a difference and that every voice that works at Wasco is important. And you can challenge something, you can get to a disagreement, but it's always on a respectful way. And that is a pretty important thing to have in our company because, yes, we are on the products company, we're on building this new world, but every company is full of people, and people are what will make this or break this.
Well, Walter, generally, when I met him, it was the same thing. It was a combined vision between both of us of trying to leave the world a better place through the construction industry, more of an industrial point of view. And throughout the years, I've seen most of the problems we face and how Walter has the ability to tackle them. Not only to solve them, but to also build upon them. And right now, I think we have an splendid team built of businessmen, young entrepreneurs, young scientists such as Daniel, and young operating people like Walter, Sergio. I think it's a wonderful team. But as Sergio mentioned, I think Walter really has the ability to portray the vision of what he wants and to analyze people and to see if they also have that vision. And if he sees that they also have the same vision, that they share the same purpose, he invites them to the team. So right now the team is individually with one vision, but as conjunct together into this vision that Walter initially developed.
We're reaching the end of our conversation. Therefore, what I would love to know is what are the key priorities for Wasco in the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months? So what are some of the big projects that you guys have in the upcoming weeks and months?
Currently, we are preparing to have different type of laws or purchase order to this cement industry because, as we said, Daniel, we are preparing different samples to this company and they will taste it our raw material in their laboratory, and then when they validate this raw material with their mix or laboratory test that they have, we start with this negotiation and this of relationship of this type of material in the future and close this type of loss or the purchase. And we are talking about big loss. It's about 250 to $100 million to close. And then when we have these contracts signed, we can increase our value. And in the next 12 months, we are preparing to start our second round about the Serie A or Serie A specifically to invest or raise capital to invest in a pilot plant. With this pilot plant, it will be a big volume or more volume that we have in our laboratory machinery. And this is our activity or goals in the next 12 months. And currently we are closing our seed round. We are raising $1 million. Actually, we have investors from Canada, Greece, Mexico, and we're looking for have investors like VC from South America, principal, just to have this type of connections or relationship with these countries and start with our escalation of the technology in other countries here in American continent, principal in South America, in Peru, Argentina, Chile, Brazil, but we know that we have this type of goals. We will have a lot of activities or challenge to get it, but we understand that our strategy licensed our technology or these secret sources to this industry is the most efficient strategy that we will have to scale our technology.
So that means that you're going to be quite busy in the following months. So guys, we always wrap up our conversations with your best advice for aspiring founders. So you guys are building, I think, an incredible venture with a lot of potential at a global stage, tackling a big problem, having a great team setup. So for those that are listening at you, what will be, and that would like to follow a similar path to what you guys are building, like what will be your top advice that each of you could provide?
I say to all in different events that in the place to talk, it's about your passion and your purpose of your life. If you can or could work anything about any project startup, but basically focus your passion and purpose of your life is a better strategy that you will have because it's not all this work or challenge that we have is not like oh we have a lot of work I'm so tired it's like a difference because it's the base of the passion is more you are learning a lot in all the time you are connecting with other persons have this type of new relationship and all these is incredible things that we have in this pathway. So focus your startup project about in your passion and purpose of your life.
Sergio, would you like to go next?
It's a cliche that we hear and hear, but I don't think that if you start thinking about the passion concept and hear it all over the place is wrong. There's something in there, but there are other things. In order to passion to work, you better put that work into that passion because you may like something, but you need to do things for this passion to transform into something that will eventually be a startup and work for you as well. I think that the life of the entrepreneur is full of negatives, it's full of no's, but it's a hard road. It ain't easy. It's actually pretty hard, pretty stressful. You are never out of the office in a manner of speaking because, as I said, if you have this passion, you will always be thinking about this stuff everywhere you go. But this continuous no's that you get from people around you will eventually change when you find your tribe. When you find the people that suddenly you speak this idea and are like, okay, tell me more about it. That's where you need to focus. That's where you need to go. Those are the people that will add to your idea, to your project, and eventually it will all transform. So it's a matter of working. It's a matter of never giving up because it is your passion. And you need this toughness because every road is difficult, but you need this toughness for this constant no's to not let you go down and try to go in a different way. You just keep fighting until you get with the right people. It will get you to a different level.
As I mentioned previously, I'm the youngest, but I think my advice would be simply just go for it. I mean, as we've all mentioned in this entrepreneurial life, the no, you already have it, so might as well try and get something else. If it's a yes, wonderful. If it's something you need to learn or work on, wonderful. But I mean, the no, it's already there even before you try and ask or do whatever. Go for it. I mean, find your passion, as Walter said, find your tribe, as Sergio said, and mix them together. And as I said, we'll go for it. And when things start going your way, if you work hard, if you're disciplined, if you build a good team to work upon, you get things like Wasco.
And Daniel, any final thoughts?
I like to think this is an analogy that I take from Ratatouille, that this guy, the critic, is just like thinking about what Gusteau said. Like in the past, I have made no secret of my disdain for Chef Gusteau's most famous motto that anyone can cook. I think everybody can start a startup, but you need to realize that to become a great founder, you really have to be committed into that. Like you need to own it and then just like go for it and really just do it. Like what Ricardo said is true. Like you can come from anywhere. Like a great founder can come from everywhere, and it's just a matter of being really bold. Also, like accept what the consequences it takes with that. I believe it's like I'm having like the best life for real. I want to live like this. I think it gives you freedom. It gives you like a lot of troubles too and a lot of challenges. And I think it's just like that. Like a great founder can come from everywhere, but it's not for everyone. You know, it's a hard and tough pathway and it's always like stressful, but I think it's worth it. And if you're doing what you love.
That's a great way of wrapping up. Daniel, thank you very much. And guys, Walter, Sergio, Ricardo, Daniel, thank you guys for your time, for this fantastic conversation. Again, you guys are building a fantastic venture. And of course, we will be looking forward to learn about how things evolve in the following months. We will be in touch and of course, making sure that we continue collaborating together in these great initiatives that you have moving forward. So thank you guys.
For sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sergio.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And thanks to you for joining us today. Please remember to subscribe via your favorite podcast app to be notified about new episodes and share with us your feedback. We would love to hear from you. Thank you also to the Maxpreneurs team, Valeria Morel, Héctor Barragán from Hyper Voltage, Francisco Jaimes, Pamela Elizalde, Katia Cruz, Rocío Marroquín. I am Sergio Chavez. See you next time.